Yo, 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 what up, everybody? This is the Off the Bench podcast. I am your host, Daniel Ball, and I'm joined as always by my co-host, my partner in crime, my brother from another mother, Jim Cross. And Jim, it's a very, very special night because we are also joined by the OG of the IOTB, Mr. Randy Jowers. Randy, what up, dude?
What up, what up?
So tonight we're talking sports headlines, but before we get to that, guys, we got to pay the bills because we're big time around here, and we got people that got to get paid. So with that, tonight's episode is brought to you by Old Dominick Distillery. Experience 150 years of tradition in the heart of downtown Memphis. From bourbon to vodka, whiskey to gin, Old Dominick's got you covered. Stop in today for a tour or just pick up your favorite bottle. If you're not sure what your favorite bottle is, Jim, guess what you can do? You can go sit at the bar, get you a flight, and try it all. Get an Uber, but try it all. Trust me. All right, drink responsibly. And Memphis City Design, get brands, gear, logos on everything from shoes to underoos. You can even get your off the bench gear while supplies last. Randy, 50% polyester, 50% cotton. It just looks like a cloud. It feels like a cloud. It's the best hoodie. Thanks, man. I appreciate it. That's all I go for. I mean, as long as somebody tells me it looks good, like I'll buy everything. So with that, boys, let's get into it. Sports headlines. It's been a while since all three of us have been on the show to wrap a little bit. We're going to talk first with NCAA football, college football, and we got Notre Dame. And like it was hard for me to say that. Notre Dame in the championship game against Ohio State. Randy, it's been a while. I'll lead with you, man. Tell me your thoughts on this game. Was this the expectation when you saw the 12-team playoffs, when everything was going to shake out to the championship game, or did you think your Vols are going to roll right through this thing?
No, I didn't. I did not pick Tennessee to win over Ohio State just because the talent level that's on that team. And when you lose a rivalry game like that, it's either going to break you or make you. And so far, thanks to Quinn Ewers and his goal line decision, it's made them. But I mean, up until the Texas game, they were just dominating the position. But I think Notre Dame presents, a lot of challenges. So both teams have played incredibly well on defense. Ohio State has been the more dominant team if you count the 3 games. But I think it's an intriguing matchup. The physicality, at the point of attack. I was talking on Facebook to our friend Vic, right? Obviously he knows a thing or two about physicality at the point of attack. That's going to be where this game is won or lost, and I'm excited to see it.
Yards after contact. Who can pick up the most yards after contact? Who can battle their way through? Jim, it's hard to really root against either one of these teams just because the guys that are leading both of these teams are such.
No, it's not.
It is because you look at a guy like Marcus Freeman, and for me personally, it's hard not to like him.
Yeah.
Now on the flip side, it's easy not to like Ryan Day, but there's a ton of fucking receipts out there that this guy's trying to cash in on because, I mean, he's done nothing but win and win at a high level. He just hasn't won the right.
You sent me a video. Until Ryan Day converts himself to Catholicism for his team, I ain't comparing him nowhere to Freeman. That's all I'm saying.
I mean, Jim, if you, it seems like Notre Dame's your pick,
And I picked it before it started, and Randy knows how much this. Look, he was on Facebook already blasting this game before Ohio State even beat Texas, saying they're going to run them. So I need this one. Randy, when it comes to football, traditionally has gotten them right over me. I want this one bad. And let me tell you something. That Riley Leonard basketball high school video has me liking this dude. You want to talk about an athlete? That dude was dunking on everybody.
Well, boys, I'm going to tell you something that we're going to see before this game. I want this to be on the hottest podcast that's out there. Quinn Ewers is the starting quarterback at Notre Dame next year.
Oh, all right. Walk me through this. I don't know what you call this. This is a hot take.
Yeah, it's hot take, fresh off the press. But think about it. His time is over in Texas. No fault of his own. They got Arch Manning. Arch isn't going to sit another year. Quinn is either going to declare for the draft or go to Notre Dame. We just talked about it, DB. Jim, both of y'all love Marcus Freeman. I love Marcus Freeman. That guy is a guy you want to play for. Also on the table is a $6 million NIL deal for Quinn to go there. I'm just saying.
And he's not going to go, to your point, he's not going to go to the draft. I think he's like the 10th best.
He's not an NFL quarterback. And look, I say all that.
Even if he was, what's the likelihood he's going to make $6 million off the rip?
What if Quinn Ewers is Southern Baptist and this Catholicism thing ain't going to work? What about that?
What if $6 million makes you whatever you want to be?
Winning football, you can be an atheist if you win football.
Touchdown,
games.
Jesus, Jim.
Yes. Could you imagine the story if you took that guy that didn't believe, that was a non-believer, and at the end of the season you got him believing? Like, come on, man.
Look, and I'm going to say this.
Rudy wouldn't even
Speaking of believing,
anymore.
though, Randy, I'm going to tell you, man, what changed that Texas-Ohio State game, and granted, Texas did tie it up again. When Texas tied it up and there was 32 seconds or whatever, I texted Daniel, I was like, this game is totally in Texas' favor. And then they run that screenplay. He takes it to the house. I'm like, well, damn, there goes that.
Look, think about this, too. You're talking about a man of integrity, right? Like Quinn Ewers is that. He was at Ohio State, roommates with the same linebacker that stripped, scoop and scored. Quinn Ewers got an NIL deal at Ohio State. When he left, transferred out to Texas, he gave the entire contract back. He didn't have to do that because, as you guys know, NIL is for name, image, and likeness. It's not for pay for play. We can get into the semantics all we want, but he gave the entire thing back. So this dude's a man of integrity, but played for Ryan Day. To your point, played for Ryan Day, played for Sark, and then playing for Freeman. I mean, that's playing for three pretty successful. And for all the Texas fans that are hating on Quinn Ewers, look at what your record was before that guy was your starting quarterback. That guy's taking you to 2 straight CFP. I mean, I know that this is a little bit expanded one. He's won more college playoff games than they've seen since Colt McCoy?
Well, since we opened this whole thing up, Randy, I got to now ask you. I mean, Carson back to Miami. Obviously, like most people talk about Livy Dunn when it comes to the original TikTok sensations. I knew the Cavenger twins way before her. Anyway, so to see that, like, what do you think about my man going down to South Beach and slaying it down there?
So another one that's just a fan base that was completely toxic. People were hating on Carson Beck, and I saw this in the groups and obviously the SEC focus group we have, and it just various podcasts. Carson Beck is trash, and then you look at his numbers. The dude's third in the SEC in touchdown passes, threw for 3,000 yards. He did throw a few too many picks. Georgia also led the nation and drop passes by wide receiver. So if I'm Carson Beck and my girlfriend looks like that, number one, I'm going. Number two, you get to live on South Beach. They gave him $4.3 million, and he gets a penthouse at the very top of a high rise. I mean, he's already met with the team. I mean, I think it's a win-win for Carson Beck. It's another guy like Quinn Ewers. You talk about it, Jim. This is not a guy that's going to go into the league and start next year. First of all, he's got an injury. Got to come back from that. Tommy John, no, it's not like baseball. He can probably be back a little faster, but it's still a little bit of a recovery. It's a perfect scenario. You get to go, and you don't have to play in the SEC every week. The ACC, are we kidding me? Come on, I do it too. Carson Beck, shout out.
I mean, if he doesn't win games, do they move him down a floor every game he loses?
Yes, eventually you're in the janitor's closet.
I mean, that's unreal, dude. Like I would for $6 million or even that lifestyle, I think I would second guess going to NFL if I was a high prospect.
Yes. You could be like Shador Sanders and all those and Travis Hunter and take out an insurance policy on yourself. Worst case scenario, I'm still getting.
Think about this. Rainey has said on the show before talking about Athens and just how amazing a place it is. This dude's gotten to be in Athens. Now he's going to South Beach. I mean, Carson Beck's just taking college to the fullest.
Yeah, he's Van Wilder. Really, I guess that's Diego Pavia.
Speaking of Wilder, Mike Hughes wants you to know, because he's complimenting like crazy. He's your biggest fan. You're back in the building. And he wants you to educate me on Caleb Williams, but we can do that when we get to NFL.
Yeah, we'll do that in a minute.
Oh man,
I gotta brush up on my nail color.
Oh,
bro, all I said to him was he was look, we'll get there, but he was comparing.
Oh, I saw your comment. You weren't wrong.
I mean, look,
Mike, enjoy Mike McCarthy. Have fun with that, brother.
Bro, we're gonna talk about your Cowboys against NFL, but I got a question for you.
You gonna shoot it?
Oh, now I thought we were waiting until we got to NFL.
Oh, okay. You're saying then. Okay, let's pick this game. Well, I know where you stand, and I know where I stand. I guess we really just need to figure out where Daniel is here. I mean, you told me Notre Dame was going to Notre Dame against Penn State.
I still think Ohio State's going to win by double digits because I can't get past Notre Dame not doing what Notre Dame does. I mean, I don't know.
Is it even
national
that,
champion? What
is it even that though? All right, let's be serious. Like if both teams played their absolute best game, who wins the game?
Ohio State.
That's what I'm saying. The talent, but I will say this though, to Jim's credit, Texas gave you a blueprint for how to slow down those receivers. It's a blueprint that Tennessee couldn't do. Oregon was even worse at it, and Texas did it. Their defense was amazing.
Yeah,
I said this all year. Notre Dame, like that Northern Illinois thing, obviously got them with a bad rep, but I mean they were so good all year, especially defensively. I really think because of that loss, people just weren't giving them enough credit, and so when you saw the playoff layout, you were talking about Tennessee. I hated that Tennessee couldn't be down there because Tennessee could have competed and won that little round. With Carson Beck out, you just knew Georgia wasn't going to probably be able to do it. I mean, it laid out perfectly for Notre Dame.
It did. They did have an easier path, but I mean, still shout out to them because but to what you said, DB, that Notre Dame was going to Notre Dame, Penn State. They had it in their hands.
Just here, you know what?
I mean, that throw, man, if you're hanging back there that long and it's just not there, throw that ball away.
I mean, on back-to-back drives, it was the same thing. I mean, it was just
mind-blowing. And that's why James Franklin gets the rap he does, because if you're James Franklin and you're known for being conservative, so you're like, you know what? I'm going to throw it across the middle. What are you doing, James Franklin?
Right. And I'll tell you another national thing, because y'all know I'm not a Brian Kelly guy. I love all the people giving the hate, and the LSU fans are coming to stand up for him. Why can't we just, give Marcus Freeman his credit? Why do we have to attack Brian Kelly? Because facts are facts. He has done what he couldn't do.
Yeah, no, it's true. But I think that's just the world we live in, right? You can't ever hype up one man without tearing down another. That's just the society we live in. Shout out Marcus Freeman, though. I've loved that dude since he got there. I think that all his interviews are great. His interview he gave after the Orange Bowl was an all-timer. And I love speakers, man, and he is a great speaker.
Well, especially when he would not take the moment away from his kids.
He wouldn't. No, that's what you want, man.
They throw questions out there, just probing and almost loaded questions at him. And he's like, "Nah, man, I'm better. I'm too good for this."
Just to be clear, because I don't want to give him bragging rights. If Ohio State wins, Randy's never allowed back.
Well, see you later, Randy.
Yeah, I'm retiring.
He's definitely not going to want to do this next segment. It wasn't originally on the headlines, but there was no way I could avoid talking.
I know where Jim stands on this. Where do you stand on this, Randy, as far as the expansion of the playoffs to 12? Now that we've seen it come to fruition, is it a good thing, bad thing? I say that because your camp benefited from it being expanded.
So I think that, for one thing, they're not going to go backwards, right? So that is what it is. Are there too many teams? Probably. I think I saw Jim say, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think you said 8 teams probably, or maybe it was even less than that. Maybe it was you said the 4. So I saw somebody say 8. So typically, this year, were there really 12 could have been national champions? No. But it's the same logic. We can apply that to the NBA. We can apply that to NFL, the NHL. We could apply that across a lot of, but it's all about the revenue sharing. They are going to keep doing this because they've gotten incredible viewership, like the Texas-Arizona State game and the game the other day. So I don't think they're going backwards. I do think 12 is too many, though. I do.
I mean, it just depends on how watered down it gets. And would you say, all right, let's think of the first few games. Were those teams watered down?
Well, it's hard for me to say that when my team was.
I think it's pretty simple. It shoulda, coulda, woulda. If you could reseed that bracket, it would have been that way.
I agree with that. The seeding is what I think they have to address, because I don't think the seeding was good at all. Or after you have the first round, you reseed, kind of like they do in the NBA that reseeds?
Yeah,
or whatever.
for instance, Tennessee, Ohio State. That game, the result may have been inevitable, but that should have been a second round matchup, not a first round.
No, I agree. And then the fact that you had Ohio State, Oregon playing in the second round, if I'm Oregon, I have a huge problem with that. I go through the regular season undefeated. I beat Ohio State, and then my reward for that is to see Ohio State, all because they lost one game to Michigan at the very end of the season. I just don't think the seeding was not good.
No, I agree with all of that. I think that's what makes it seem as though it was a bad decision because of the scores that you get and the teams not playing up to snuff, in that those quarterfinal games. But we could beat it to death. My thought is put all the teams in. Let everybody get in.
5 years ago today, they could have let in every team, and LSU still would have whooped that ass.
Yeah, that's probably true.
Probably right about that.
It's probably true.
Look, I found it funny, Randy. I know you've seen them graphics. They've been putting together the greatest offensive skill players and quarterback from all the teams combined, and it's funny because LSU's still just all from one team.
Oh yeah, no doubt. Ed Orgeron put together an all-time roster, and Joe Brady, all those guys. That team was just the fact that you had Jefferson, throw Burrow out, even though he's great. Jefferson and Chase on the same team. My goodness.
Jefferson about to go home, by the way, though, because that Sam Darnold thing's getting
that's because
big time right now.
Sam Darnold was a fraud all season long, and that's crazy. So was Bo Nix.
It's easy when you have one of the best receivers, if not the best receiver in the league, to throw to. That makes it so much. Why do you think Baker Mayfield is as good as he is? Because he's got guys to throw to. He's got Mike Evans. I mean,
he does. Mike Evans made an all-time great, smart play last night, only for Baker Mayfield to give it right away.
I mean,
all right, I done jumped in. We might as well go NFL next.
Well, I mean, let's just keep it moving. We're not going to do NFL. We're going to go straight to college basketball because there's only two teams we got to talk about.
Oh, Randy, you haven't looked at the update then if you went straight to college basketball.
Nope.
I added NBA on there. You think I was going to let Randy come on here, especially with the Grizzlies doing what they're doing and Russell Westbrook resurgence? You think we were going to gloss that over?
Yeah, I did, actually.
I see the NBA on there, but I do. Right now,
yeah. Randy can't even say nothing bad about Westbrook. That's how great this moment's going to be. There's nothing bad to say about him.
Well, let's talk college basketball real quick. Randy, how are they going to do your boys like that? They're just going to say, you know what? Y'all don't deserve to be number one. Roll on out.
They didn't deserve to be number one because let me tell you something, DB. I saw
they deserve to be 7?
6. Thank you very much.
6, sorry.
When you lose by 30 points, 30, and by the way, you set a record for lowest field goal percentage in a game ever by a number one team. Yeah, you deserve to drop. It was just
you would have rather have been anybody in the world. I assume, right?
Anybody in the world. Can you not lose to anybody? Alabama? No, not them. Auburn.
No.
Yeah, Auburn would have been fine, but Florida.
Hey, if it makes you feel any better, I was in the forum to watch Mississippi State do that exact same thing in Memphis.
Oh man, I watched that game too. But look, here's the thing though, DB. So the bounce back game when they went on the road to Texas and they get a big win. And Texas, I know that they haven't won an SEC game. They're struggling. They're not ranked. But just to get a bounce back win when Chaz Lanier, their best player, still wasn't shooting the ball well. And I think that Rick Barnes is the exact perfect coach to have in that situation because it's not like they weren't getting shots against Florida. They just weren't falling. So sometimes in basketball that happens.
It's one of the few games where I watched Tennessee play, and it just happened to work at the right time. And
you loved it.
I was shocked no, actually, no, because it's Florida. I would rather Tennessee beat them. But the thing is you're right. It wasn't like the shot selection was that bad. It was just they couldn't hit shit. They
weren't even hitting free throws.
I know. And it was so when I look at that game, I'm like, all right, that's kind of an anomaly. Is that
throw it out?
Yeah, you don't even think about it. You're going to get those guys again. It's going to be at home, and it's going to be a different story. Yeah, so
they still got to come to our house. Yeah, I'm not worried about it. If they had lost and they had like 20 turnovers, I'd be a little more concerned.
Right. I mean, speaking of turnovers, we'll just go transition to Memphis basketball.
You like that, didn't you?
I do. I like that segue that you set up for me. With Memphis, I like everything they've done. The only thing that I don't like that they've done is they've gone backwards in this turnover game. All right. So 2 years ago, they're one of the worst teams in the 300s for turnovers. They get better, but not great. Last year, they're in the 200s, and then they're back to being one of the worst in basketball with turnovers. They had 16 against East Carolina, and that's what keeps teams in the game, teams that have no business being in the game with you. PJ Haggerty is a fucking just beast. All right. He is good. and this is hard to say, but he might be better than Kendrick Davis on certain fronts. And Kendrick Davis, I think, has him beat just because the complete body of work. But PJ Haggerty just goes and just like
walking bucket is definitely fit for him.
But it's almost like he does it very quietly. Kendrick is on the floor, and he's on the floor. PJ's on the floor, and he just kind of flows in.
And like you know what you're going to get from PJ. It's will the other guards show up in the same game, because it feels like they don't do it often together. The games they do, like Ole Miss, they blow them out of the water because you had Rodgers get hot from downtown.
And that's the thing. They got to go back to shooting the three ball very well to blow these teams out, because when they were shooting 35-40%, from 3-point land, they're beating teams like Michigan State, they're beating teams like UConn, they're blowing out teams like Ole Miss. But when you don't, and then you mix in 16 to 20 turnovers in the game, then you're letting East Carolina back in the game, and one possession game with the clock winding down. So I expect Memphis to drop a couple of these conference games. I think their non-conference work will carry them very far.
Oh, yeah.
But you don't want to lose to a terrible UAB team. You don't want to lose, Thursday night to a Temple team, even though Temple I think is better than East Carolina.
They are. But that's been the story for Memphis now in this watered down conference that they're in, is that now that you've done – no, it's terrible. It's one of the worst, if I'm being honest. But for Memphis, you don't get an opportunity to lose those games because, yes, you had a great non-conference. But if you lose enough of these conference games, it diminishes all that.
Well, the Arkansas
here that if you lose more than one, you probably go from that 5-6 seed all the way to the guaranteed 8-9.
Well, you definitely do it. You definitely do, because that Arkansas State loss that's hovering over you, like you don't lose that game, then you can lose a couple conference games, and it's not going to be as big of a hit. But now that you've already had that big fucking hit, and Arkansas State may very well win their conference, and it won't be as bad of a loss, but it's still a bad loss, especially when you have 0 quad 1 opportunities left.
Right.
And then your quad 2 opportunities have to be road wins against a Wichita State team, and
this is what I don't understand for both of y'all as Memphis fans. This isn't just a this year thing with the Tigers. This has become the norm for Penny's teams, is that they tend to play down to this level of competition on a regular, not every game, but a regular basis. And they're playing close games or losing these games. I mean, I don't know, is it Penny's demeanor? Because I don't think the lack of preparation is the problem. I think they're ready. I just don't think they get in the game and they start going too fast. They turn the ball over, like you said, or they don't shoot. And then I don't know what it is, but something's got to change.
I think it's like when you have, all right, a young kid, like, if you're playing basketball against Trey when he was 8 or 9, you can slow your game down, and you're going to beat him, but you can slow it down enough to where you can.
Randy well enough, because I promise
I'm yamming his ass. But I'm about to go dunk on Eli when we get off this podcast.
But play along with him, But I think year after year, if you got that level of talent in front of you on a night-to-night basis, the byproduct of that is, you kind of come out that way and you go, well, I know that, we're better than this team, so we're going to figure it out. And sometimes you do, and then sometimes you don't. When in the past, when the conference, when Cal was there, the conference wasn't like that. It wasn't these easy games all the time, and they were dogfights. And so, like, you were used to having that battle and that fight, and that you got to come out of the gate swinging, or you're going to be knocked out and you're not getting back up. At least in this conference, if you get knocked down in the first half, whether you're down by 10, 15, or 20, you still know, like, with these teams, you got a chance to come back and get in the game, but you got to do some other things that are different from the first half. And I think that's really the biggest issue is you have these swings. And I will say Penny has done a better job this year at second half adjustments.
Yeah, agree.
But they flip. So, like, when they're not playing well in the first half, the second half they usually flip and play better. But when they're flip, and they don't play as well in the second half. And there's only a couple teams there that have been full, complete 2 halves of basketball. They played great. So I fully expect them to drop a couple of these conference games. I just hope that they're on the road and against good teams. So, I'll leave it at that. I don't know. I don't want to beat a dead horse because we got to talk Grizzlies. You got your hat on. You're ready to talk some Grizz.
Well, let me say something right out the gate. Randy, how is no one in the NBA talking about Jaren Jackson Jr. right now? Last 5 games, 33, 21, 35, 23, 28 on over 50% shooting, averaging 9.5 rebounds through all that, even getting 5 assists per game. Why ain't nobody talking about Jaren Jackson Jr.?
It's been like that, and you could credit it last year to the fact that he was putting up like great numbers, those type of numbers on a bad team. But this year, he's putting up those numbers on a top of the West team. Tripp is the best player on this team. He's the most consistent player. He's the one more readily available. He's an all-star. I mean, he's all-pro defensively. He does. If you put Tripp in an ISO, there is nobody in the NBA that can stop his ISO. We've seen it over and over and over and over again. I don't know, Jim. More people need to talk about it. Shout out Tripp.
Right now, they're up 5 in the fourth quarter on the Rockets, who they're trailing.
Yeah, they've been letting them come back into this game.
What is the score? Because
93 to 87.
Oh man, can they beat these dudes? I mean, seriously, like
Dylan Brooks 2 for 10 from the field. I know Randy loves it.
Yeah, fuck that guy. But one thing about it though is that they have struggled against the top of the West, and obviously those are the better teams. But you got to win those games too. They haven't beaten the Rockets. They've lost both games. The last one was a close game, but the one before they blew them out. They haven't beat the Thunder, who are amazing. The Thunder are doing all this without Chet Holmgren too. They still won the other day against the Timberwolves, but you got to beat playoff teams. That's who you're going to be up against.
Yeah, if you want to solidify a 2, 3, 4 seed, these are the tonight's game is a game you have to win.
Yeah, the Warriors game, they got to win that.
Yeah, got to win that.
2 games with the Nuggets, Randy, in Memphis. Ja nor Jokic played, so really because that was split, but you didn't get to really see what that would even be like.
No. Yeah, I mean, look, the Nuggets, I don't think that once they figure out their health, they're going to be right back towards the top. I know they're still in the playoff hunt, of course, but I mean, I saw this the other day that it was a guy, and I don't remember what it was. Jeff Teague's podcast. I don't know what it's called. I saw it on Instagram. He was talking about, it looked like Jokic played in jeans, and if you watch that dude, it is exactly like that. That dude is built funny. His moves are ugly. He's slow. And then you look up and he's got 35 and 20. It's the weirdest thing I've ever seen in the NBA history.
And the thing is, he's perfect for Westbrook because he's always thrived when there is a big man who can finish at the basket. And there isn't one who can finish like this one. Obviously, he's also dishing around, but he's not having to play the point. Murray's got that. It's off the ball. This has been the best situation. And then I was texting with Hasseltine the other day. I said, it makes me mad. This dude's going to be all defensive team. And it's just a reminder that for 15 years in the league, he didn't play defense.
That's true. But I think that Westbrook, for him, this is really basketball's back to fun for him because he's not having to put in the lion's share of the work. The best player on the team is Jokic. Like you said, you have a point guard. He can be off the ball and he can just let his athleticism. He's not the athlete that he once was, but he can. He's still got plenty that he can survive on an NBA court.
He's been having fun in the interviews. To your point, he didn't do that either for either LA team. And then that athleticism, sometimes I question it because he just doesn't throw anymore. But anytime you block a 7'1" guy dunking, you tell me you still got it.
No, Westbrook's still an amazing athlete. And I think he's just found a role that fits him later in his career. I don't think that's what I said all along. If he could figure out the role, he can play in the NBA another 5-6 years with what he's got.
I really like them and I really like the Grizzlies, but it goes back to a comment you made. I just don't know that anybody can beat the Thunder.
Yeah, Shea, that's another. And the pieces they have around him.
Have you thought about that? I thought about this the other day, Randy. So they drafted Durant, Westbrook, Harden, and Shea. Dude, Sam Presti, man, he don't miss.
That dude does not miss. The Grizzlies just went on a run. Now they're up 13, by the way, DB.
Nice. So let me ask you this before we move off of it. All right. Memphis got one of the toughest schedules remaining in the NBA. I don't know what the Nuggets got. I'm sure it may or may not be as difficult as the Grizzlies. But Randy, I'll ask you first: who finishes in a higher position with a better record, Memphis or Denver?
It's a great question. I'm gonna say, man, that's tough. I'm gonna say Memphis just because I really like what they're able to do on the defensive side of the ball when they're all keyed in. I think the key, like Jim said, Jaren's the best player on the team. If you keep Ja healthy, I think they finish higher because the role players around Desmond Bane. Even LaRavia, I didn't even want that dude on the court last year, but like he's more than serviceable now. Jalen Wells.
I think Memphis because of the bench being so much better. We'll see
it's
now
so
that
deep.
The Nuggets got Aaron Gordon back, but the Nuggets bench, and this is what helped when Westbrook got away from that because he's not, like you said, he's not a primary scorer anymore. When they were trying to hope that he could be that for that Nuggets bench, it wasn't working because those dudes suck.
Steven Adams getting offensive rebounds for the Rockets against the Grizzlies hurts my soul.
Steven Adams is on Rockets? I didn't even know
dude.
that.
He was bodying the Grizzlies the last game they played. What was that? It was only like last week.
Man, Steven's too good to be in a Rockets uniform. What's that about?
Yeah, him and Dylan back as teammates again.
Hey, if there's one last shout out since you brought him up, Westbrook got him $100 million just by finishing in the basket in OKC. So he did do that for me.
This is true because Steven Adams is not a $100 million player.
Not at all.
I just realized the game is on NBA TV, and I do have that channel. I got to scroll through 800 channels to get there, though.
But not that we're doing predictions, Daniel. I would say Thunder and Celtics seems like it's going to happen.
I mean,
yeah, I agree. But man, the NBA is like it's tough, man. Especially in the West, it is tough. Look, and you look at the other day. I watched that whole Cleveland Oklahoma State game. Cleveland is unbelievable. Like you talk about benches. Like they got two big dudes in Mobley and the guy with the afro, but they're awesome together. And then you have, of course, Darius Garland running the point.
Any team that wins they win the first 19 of the season or something like that.
Yeah, and they. I mean, when it got down to crunch time, that game was safe, like really close. So you thought, okay, now Shea's going to take over, and the Cavaliers took the game over.
Isn't it weird? Like, would you have ever thought after LeBron, Cleveland would have been relevant in any kind of way?
No, but Darius Garland was kind of the anchor there, and then Mobley, and I haven't even said Donovan Mitchell being there. I mean, he took over the primary scoring.
One that's crazier to me is I would have never told you the Knicks off the leadership of Brunson would be what they are.
That's true. You know what the underrated trade of the year last year was Cat going to New York. Mm-hmm. I mean, the Timberwolves have gotten worse and the Knicks have gotten better.
But you would think, though, how could you not get a guy like Karl Anthony Towns and not get better?
Oh, true. But if you looked at with the Timberwolves, the fans were all ready to get rid of him. Oh, he can't get us to the next level. We got Anthony Edwards. Well, how's that working out for you? You got Julius Randle back, who's a fine player. But Karl Anthony Towns was the anchor. You got to, first of all, any team with Rudy Gobert, terrible, absolutely terrible.
Just can't take it. I mean,
I can't.
It has nothing to do with COVID, right?
No.
All right, let's move on. Baseball, college baseball. What, 32 days? Is that right? Something like that. Right. 31 days. IOTB put our top 25 out there. D1 put their top 25 out there.
Kendall even wrote me this morning. I was so pissed. I had nothing to complain about except Virginia. I mean, I told you, Daniel, outside the top 12, none of it really mattered. It was a crapshoot. I'll be damned if our top 12 was the exact same.
I told Jim, Randy, I said the only difference in like I'm fine with our collective top 25. Like, whatever, like in 2 weeks into the season, the top 10 might shuffle a little bit. It may not. But I told him, my mantra is you're the champ until somebody beats you. So Tennessee would be my number one, but
that is traditionally what D1 does. Randy will tell you this is the first year they actually didn't do that.
It's because they hate Tennessee. Kendall.
That's what people have been saying all day.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you went last year, like none of them, when they got to Omaha, none of them picked them to win. Even when they got to the finals, they still didn't pick them to win. I'm not saying that they hate Tennessee, but I don't think they like Tennessee. I don't think they like the bravado of Vitello or whatever. But I don't care because guess what, boys? They ain't going nowhere as long as Tony V's there.
Nope. They are pulling guys left and right from that portal, filling holes and keeping the big people that they need to keep as glue guys, and they're ready to roll, dude. Like all the guys that we talked to from Tennessee and A&M, it like to me, like if you see both of those two teams in the finals again, like I'm all
wouldn't be
for that.
surprised.
I literally think it's going to be LSU or Tennessee versus A&M. I truly do. But like Tennessee, just I mean the way I don't know, Randy. It's something about the guys. This is going to get me in trouble. I don't know. The guys that Tony pulls are just built different. I don't know. I can get on board with those guys more than the guys that Jay pulls in. Like I said, that may be controversial, but I don't know. It's a very culture thing, and it seems like Tony doesn't just bring in anybody.
No, he doesn't. And he talked about it with us too, and he's talked about it in other interviews. Like when he brings them in, he has the other players meet with that recruit too to see if that's going to be a culture fit. So, and obviously we've all managed people. It's one of those things that if you don't have a culture, and culture is not something that you really create by doing one singular thing. It's like a thing that you do over time and you earn the trust. Tony's earned the trust, and that team embodies everything that he is. And that's what drove him, because you talked about it, Jim. The 2024 Tennessee Vols team wasn't even the best team he had, not by far. 2022 was better. 2020 was better. 2021 was really good. I don't mean any disrespect to the 2024 team. They're the ones that got over the hump. They were the number one team.
Randy, I don't know if you saw it the other day. Bargo told us, because you remember Billy said the chemistry was instant. Bargo even said that this year it hasn't been the same as it was last year. I think that last year's team just clicked right out the gate through the fall.
They did, and that matters so much, man. Like, I mean, DB, you were on a national championship winning team. You kind of feel it before you see it, right?
You have things happen throughout the season and it's just different, and you're like, man, that is good magic. Whatever we need to do, we need to bottle that, but you can't bottle it up. Like it just happens, authentically. I would say, most of the time, the most talented team isn't usually the team that is your best team and wins the most, just because that culture piece that you have, like people have to feel each other out. And
I think that LSU team's a rare team, and that's just because when you look at guys like Skeens and Cruz, that's just next level talent.
Well, that's different. But Tennessee did not have a Paul Skeens. I mean, on the pitching staff, shout out Drew Beam.
Your point, they lost Dolander and Burns and then go win a championship. It's crazy.
Their pitching staff was not anywhere close as far as talent, and that's not disrespectful. I loved the 2024 team. They had something that the 2022 team did not have. Composure was there. I also think that Tony V learned a lot, and the way that he reacts to certain situations, I think that helped them get over the hump, because they tried to bait him. What was it? Was it Mississippi State that was like talking directly to him? And I think you would have saw him 2 years before that fly off the handle.
Well, that whole situation was crazy, because I seen the people on social media like, here goes Tennessee again. And, I was right there in the third row. I was like, man, Mississippi State started all that.
Yeah, they were the ones chirping. It was pretty clear. But, yeah, look, people have just made up their minds about Tony V and the whole Tennessee team, and that's fine. Because, then we're sitting here talking about how this team wasn't the best, and they still won 60 games and broke the curse that hadn't been broken in what, 99?
I mean, that's unbelievable.
Here's what I'll say on the other teams. Obviously, Daniel, we've talked about it. Randy knows A&M brought everybody back except Montgomery, and they replaced with Gavin Cash and other guys. Just absolutely stacked. LSU has probably the deepest roster. I'd say this: they lack that superstar, but to what y'all are talking about with Tennessee, if it meshes well, then it's not going to matter. They literally got like 6-7 dudes that have been on the show that play the outfield that I don't even know who the 3 starters are going to be. It could be anybody. But the one that intrigues me most, Randy, because we had Alton Davis on here talking about it, and, they brought him over from Alabama. They brought JT Quinn over from Ole Miss, which that was a dumpster fire. Like, Georgia is the ultimate sleeper.
No, I agree. Yeah, they got it rolling down there. Yeah, they got it rolling. I see. We got Florida. I mean, where does D1 have them? 10, and then Florida 7 on IOTB. I just don't. I don't know, man. I don't know. They do have a deeper pitching staff.
11.
Okay.
Florida gets in off of merit, because they, at the end of the year, they somehow find themselves there. And I
Well-
don't know if that's a Kevin O'Sullivan thing, if that's just the players.
It's got to be.
No, my bad. That's them at 10. Okay.
Yeah, so look, we this isn't on the agenda, but like you guys saw that thing on D1 the other day about the best program of the last 10 years, and it was Florida. And when you look, or actually there was like 6 or 7 people that picked it, and I think that 3 of the 6 or whatever picked Florida, and it was hard to argue when they laid out their arguments. It was hard to argue as far as wins. They have a title, just the longevity over 10 years. Now, if you did 5 years, Tony V's got the most wins and whatever. But and then LSU's got to be up there too because of the title and having that whole and a lot of wins. But Vanderbilt was also in the discussion. They have, which 2014, so right before that, they would have 2 if you went 11 years.
Man,
but the SEC is so
we don't
deep.
even like We don't even like Corbin. They laid out the 10 best coaches by voting, and Corbin wasn't in there. And I was like, that's wild.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Now I will say this though:
if you don't win a championship, can you be considered one of the best teams in the past? Like,
no,
I don't think so either.
So are you taking a shot at Arkansas? Is that what we're going with here?
Yeah.
Pew pew.
Yeah. If the shoe fits.
I actually look. Arkansas fans have got fed up when that came out. I saw. Look, they ain't coming after me anymore, luckily, but they were literally saying we don't deserve the number 4 ranking till we can get out of regional. So I was like, look, they finally realized it, man. It
Is what it is.
D1 put them at 5.
Yeah, I look. I'm just
they
saying
they are stacked pitching wise. Pitching wise, they're stacked.
They are, but they don't have an offense. That was their problem last year. They did not have an offense, and only Kentucky can do this small ball thing. And eventually, that only got them so far. I think what he's done is great. But
you were talking about those lists, and there was a guy that you really had a thing for, Randy, and they said who was the best pitcher of the last decade. And obviously, Skeens had a graphic on there, but one Kevin Kopps had a graphic on there. How you feeling?
Man, that dude was unbelievable. He had a 1 year of lightning in a bottle. Unbelievable. The problem with it was that was all they had. That was it.
Yeah. And it almost was enough.
Almost. But DB, as a pitcher, you only got so many bullets in that gun.
Nah, bro. I better have at least some dudes that can swing it in that 1 through 9.
Well, that was the problem.
Yeah,
they did not have enough of that.
One more team I want to ask you about, Randy, and then we can move on just because me and Daniel talked about it. We were talking about Florida State. Now, of course, they put them a little further back at 9. I had them at 5, with Jamie Arnold and I'm actually blanking on the other dude, the number 2 pitcher. Their lineup lost a lot. But when you have 2 pitchers that good, is that good enough to make a run?
Oh, absolutely. Especially when you start playing in the tournament when it's on, you can do the short rest thing. 2 pitchers will get you there.
Yeah,
I agree. That's why I had to have him. I haven't seen his lineup though.
Look, especially you go to a weekend series. If you just got to go Friday, Saturday, bullpen Sunday, or vice versa, do what Tony V and Arkansas has done it too. Throw a bullpen Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Because I think it was a couple of years ago when we had an Ole Miss guy on, and it might have even been the booger eater himself that talked about the only thing that little angry coach talked about was just winning the series, because that's really all that matters. You win 2 out of 3 every series, you're going to win a lot of
win all 3.
I have not heard the booger eater reference in a long time. That's awesome.
Oh, booger boy.
Well, the Rockets are back.
Oregon is the one team in this whole thing that could stop this from being another SEC ACC showdown, because I really feel like that's what we're coming to in college baseball.
Hey,
that's what we're coming to in every sport.
Yeah.
Well, except for not football for ACC. Sorry.
But what about the American?
Well, what y'all got going on?
Nothing. Not in anything. Not in football. Not in
that's why Daniel said he wants them to let every team in. That way Memphis can just
let them all in.
This was the year that Memphis should have done it, because if you get in it, they might get blown out, but like just be in there.
But here's the thing: even if they went undefeated, I still don't think they get in.
Over Boise State.
I don't think they do.
Oh no, the Rockets have taken the lead.
Basketball game was
DB. This turned bad when you turned the game on.
Jeez,
turn it off.
Why did I do that?
What are you doing?
All right, we gotta
turn the NFL game on and see if the Vikings make a run.
Yeah.
Highly unlikely. All right, NFL. Them Cowboys. Oh wait, wrong year. My bad.
No. Let's talk about the Cowboys first. Let's start with that. Your owner, Jerry Jones, denies permission for the Bears to interview Mike McCarthy, and then 5 days later, they don't re-sign him. What are they doing?
Why? They wanted the satisfaction of saying they fired the guy when he really didn't have a contract.
Yeah, I guess, but man, I don't know. Some of the moves that Jerry's made, it's like he made some moves in the late 90s and the 2000s that were like, what are you doing? But you're the owner. Okay. Him sitting Cooper Rush that last game and then acting like he didn't know that the bonus was on the line. I think that's Bush League. That's petty. And then this whole thing with Mike McCarthy. I mean, are we seeing a guy? It's not to the level of Irsay where he's just like, coked out and who knows what's going on. But I mean, it's like he's just doing stuff because he can.
I think Cooper Rush earned that bonus without even it being a bonus. Everything that guy has been asked to do as a backup quarterback, he's done it. Not only this year did they played better with him and had a couple games that they gave late go their way, they would have been in a position to fight for a playoff spot. And then 2 years ago, when Dak breaks his leg, the guy comes in and just wins games, and it's like it's no big deal.
Yeah,
we'll see what you do with Deion Sanders, man.
Yeah. I mean, so to me, I feel like this whole coaching move was, I have somebody in mind, but I'm not sure if they want to commit. So, Mike, sorry, man, we're not going to let you interview with the Bears yet because we might bring you back. Now, whoever this was, they're ready. And so they said, you know what? You're out of here, man. See you later, dude. But
Deion has said that he wants Shador to be his quarterback. I mean, you got a couple $100 million a year quarterback. What do you do with that? You can't. Well, of course they can afford it. Come on now. It's Jerry.
But
I'd rather be a Cowboys fan right now than a Saints fan. We don't have a coach, and we're probably going to bring back Derek Carr.
Well, we are.
Mike McCarthy might be there too.
Yeah.
The Colts are in a horrendous situation.
But you might be in the best of the three of us, Randy. That's the wild stuff.
I don't know.
I'm all in on two guys, and that's either Mike Tomlin or the assistant coach for the Lions. If it ain't those two guys,
Ben Johnson.
Yeah.
No, he's really good.
I want Joe Brady.
Oh, well, naturally.
Yeah.
He wants to relive some magic, baby.
He's like, let's get back over there. Let's see what's working. You know what's sad is that the Cowboys had the right guy for the job and let him go. They said, hey, Washington, you're in our division. Just take our defensive coordinator and make him your head coach and go ahead and have a quarterback worth the shit and win some games.
That's worked out.
I got sadder than that, though, Daniel. The reality, though, about the Saints and the Colts, our team's playing the worst divisions in football, and we still
can't win. And we still can't win. Well, not only that, we got our granted he's a punter, but he's just very huge. Pat McAfee just going on tirades about the Colts and their culture, like we were talking about Marcus Freeman. You know what? When we're not firing our coach, we're keeping our GM. And if you look at our GM's record with draft picks, it's horrible. It's absolutely horrible. And now Jim Irsay, he can't even walk. He's in a hover round. What are we doing?
They need to bring old Peyton Manning in the door. Let him do some things.
I mean, they screwed him on the way out too. Andrew Luck walked out. I think the Colts have a culture problem. Then I try to go all in on my boy Justin Herbert. See where that got me.
I wouldn't even bring that up.
I didn't even say anything.
You did it. And the best part was
he went full Dak Prescott.
I said Daniel a meme that had it had this Scooby-Doo thing, and it had him taking the Justin Herbert mask off, and it was Dak.
Well, look, that argument, whatever it was several years ago, still remains true. He's still better than Dak. I don't care.
He's played in more games. Probably.
All I know is you can't be proud of the stat of 3 interceptions on the season when you throw 4 in the playoff game.
No, you can't. I mean, yeah. That's one way to overachieve, Justin.
So as we get into the playoffs, perfect segue. The guy who I drafted in fantasy, who was horrendous all year, I expected big things from him, actually looks like the guy I expect is CJ Stroud. Like, are you surprised that the Texans did do that to the Chargers?
I was surprised just because I'm a big believer in Jim Harbaugh, big believer in Herbert, and the Texans had been horrible. CJ Stroud had been horrible. Their defense had been porous, and then their defense looked like the '85 Bears. They were unbelievable. And Justin Herbert made some really bad decisions, but yeah, they dominated that game. Physically dominated that game.
Yeah, I think the Texans, I don't know if they lucked out and caught those dudes on a bad day. And when they turn around and have to play the Chiefs next week, it's just going to be a cakewalk for the Chiefs. I don't know.
Well, I mean, you look at any of those.
No game is a cakewalk for the Chiefs.
If they would have had the Texans were screwed no matter which one of those three teams they would have had to play.
Yeah, I mean but here's the thing: if you want to prove that you belong, those are the three teams you got to go through. Like,
that's true, but look at the Chiefs; they have not blown anybody out all year. If you keep that game close, no, they do. What I'm saying is, in the NFL, where everything is like a one possession game, if you keep it close, the ball bounces right. It wouldn't be the biggest upset I ever saw. If CJ Stroud plays like he did against the Chargers, and the Chiefs do what they've been doing all year, and just kind of like, their offense is meh. They don't have a receiver. They don't have a playmaker. Travis Kelce is not what he once was because he's like 36 now.
I wonder what the weather's supposed to be, because the guy whose game this could be is Joe Mixon.
Yeah,
if this becomes an ugly running game in the cold.
Who's the Chiefs?
Definitely
Pacheco.
Yeah. Well, they've been going to Kareem Hunt more. Pacheco coming back from the injuries just never looked right.
Yeah, I don't. But then again, I'd fully expect the Chiefs to win because that's just.
You said that about Kelce. He's gonna have 2 touchdowns now.
I hope so. I love Travis Kelce.
He Daniel won fantasy. Like I'm 22.
Daniel won fantasy even with Travis Kelce because he also had George Kittle because he decided to go with the strategic draft and 2 tight ends.
2 tight ends. Okay.
Yep. Hey, it was.
But that's not why he won. He won it all because he had Lamar Jackson and Jamar Chase. So let's just be clear.
Yeah, I had Joe Burrow.
I went all in on Ravens.
Well.
Hey,
not the worst decision you could make.
No, not at all. Not at all.
So we're saying we're giving the Texans like they could keep it close, but there's no way they win. Is that what we're going with?
Yeah, no. Chiefs win.
As long as Patty Mahomes is on the other side of that field and he's playing
15's on that field.
I feel like the worst storyline for football could be the Chiefs dynasty ending on the Texans as opposed to Lamar Jackson or Josh Allen.
And I think it's got to be Josh Allen too, because they've had so many games against the Chiefs and Bills that have been classics. But is it this year being what it is for the Chiefs? Would it be like a small it was a good win, but like the Chiefs weren't the same? I mean, that's what people would say, yeah.
Yeah. So like,
but it's still they're the champs until they're not.
Right.
So here's what I'll say about the other AFC matchup, because we were talking about Josh Allen. Here's the thing. He's going to have to be Superman because the way that Ravens offense is playing and how bad the Bills defense has been in a lot of games this year, like I expect the Ravens to score a lot. It's going to have to be a Superman effort.
Yeah, I don't know if the Bills have enough fire. Yeah, Josh Allen is amazing. But I don't know if they have enough firepower to keep up. The Ravens they're complete.
I mean, Derrick Henry coming to that team, man, when people said he was washed.
Ask Minka Fitzpatrick if he's washed.
Oh.
Goodness.
This is the ideal scenario, though. Lamar doesn't have to do too much. And as long as the offensive play calling doesn't try to make him do too much, and you run the ball and you do, good play action passes, should be just fine.
Y'all remember that time when it was the off season, the Cowboys were looking to bolster their running game, so they passed on Derrick Henry and decided to re-sign Ezekiel Elliott to go along with Rico Dowdle?
That worked out.
That could be bad, but it's not as bad as the Giants letting their running back go to their division foe and go bananas.
Fun fact: last 1,000-yard rusher for the Cowboys, Tony Pollard, and guess what they did to him?
Traded him.
Said, "Thanks, man."
He made his bonus in Tennessee, even though they suck.
They did, but that boy put up some yards.
Yeah, he grinded.
Goodness.
He grinded. All right, let's look at these games. All right, so we're in agreement. The Chiefs, AFC, Ravens, Bills. Who you taking, Randy?
I got the Ravens. I got Lamar Jackson winning another MVP and pulling out a tight one.
Jim, who you got?
I love to hate Lamar Jackson. Give me the Bills. After I sat there and said the Ravens were so complete.
Is the MVP over?
Yeah,
it's
or
over.
does-
They've already
does
voted
it-
on it.
Here is the reason. Here is the reason. Lamar won it last year, and they put his stats up from last year against this year, and they're astronomically better this year.
They
So
are.
if you're going to give him the MVP last year, there's no way he doesn't get it this year.
And if you put him side by side with Josh Allen, he has more yards, more touchdowns, fewer turnovers, not just passing. He has more passing yards than Josh Allen, more rushing yards.
Yeah, he had every stat across the board except rushing touchdowns. That was it.
Yeah, it's. I mean, and look, and I'm not saying that if I had to start a team that I would pick Lamar over Josh. I probably wouldn't. But as far as just numbers go, Lamar is doing something that we just haven't seen. He's gotten better as a quarterback. I know Jim, somebody loves to hate him, whatever, but like he used to be a running quarterback, and he's picking his spots now.
Well,
probably because of Derrick Henry.
I'm gonna roll with the Ravens. I owe them.
We're continuing the trend from college football. Me against y'all. I love it. Let's go.
Well, I mean, if it wasn't for the Ravens, I wouldn't want to.
I got a hot take pick coming here soon, so don't worry about it.
Oh, I already know what you're gonna pick, but there's no way I can do it.
Let's get into this. It's looking like it's going to be the Rams and the Eagles, and I'll be honest, man. Are the Rams getting hot at the right time?
Yes.
Are they good enough to go to Philly and beat them?
No.
Yes.
No.
Yes, they are.
And
I'm gonna tell you why.
If y'all think I'm gonna come on here and pick Philadelphia, you're crazy.
I'm with you. I'm not gonna pick Philly, and I'm gonna tell you why. When you get into a game like this, it's gonna come down to quarterback play, and Matt Stafford is a better quarterback by far.
I'm glad you brought that up because I saw a thing the other day, and people were so butthurt, Randy, when it said things that were holding each playoff team back, and Jalen Hurts was on Philly. And that's actually one of the truest statements. Because I had A.J. Brown and Barkley both on two different fantasy teams, I watched a lot of Eagles this year, and he really misses a lot of throws and makes a lot of mistakes.
He does. And he has so many weapons around him. They could do better. I don't know who the answer is, but I don't think it's Jalen Hurts.
I don't know if they know what the answer is. It ain't giving the ball to Saquon Barkley, that's for sure, to let him score touchdowns.
Are the Grizzlies going to hit it 3 to tie? That's what I need to know.
Oh my God! How did they let this happen?
Oh man, I'm gonna turn it off. All right, I'm turning
it off. You were
off.
Supposed to have done that a long time ago.
Yeah, I'm gonna turn it off. All right, it's off. Y'all tell me what happens. So Jim, Rams, Eagles. Who'd you take?
Eagles.
Man, you're not making it a case for. I'm trying. It's
going to stay that way because
he's definitely.
I mean, Jesus Christ, you're gonna pick fucking Jaden Daniels.
Of course he is.
Right.
Look, dude, I'll never. I wish the Cowboys would play the Lions because I might pick the Lions over the Cowboys. That's how much
All right, so let's jump in real quick. I got to jump on what Mike Hughes said. So he said, for all the people hating on Caleb Williams and not taking Jaden Daniels, winning Rookie of the Year means nothing because Justin Herbert did it and Joe Burrow didn't. Joe Burrow didn't play the majority of his rookie year because he got hurt. However, what was truly his rookie year, he went to the Super Bowl. So not comparable. And Mike, just face it, man. Y'all missed by not taking Jaden Daniels. That is what it is. It's facts.
I mean, God, John Morant, what are you doing?
He was actually, I was watching Gamecast. I saw multiple turnovers down the stretch, if that was correct on my updates.
Yeah, and he missed both free throws. They fouled him because they didn't want him to shoot a three, and he missed both of them. You make the first, you miss the second, Ja. What are we doing? Another loss to a team that you're trying to catch. Goodness.
This is all Daniel's fault, though, the reality.
A game that you had.
You had it. You're up double digits in the fourth. Oh, my goodness.
You know what that means, boys.
NBA, man. The game doesn't start
that puts the Nuggets and the Grizzlies at a tie.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, you like them apples.
All right. So, Randy, you taking Lions?
I am because Jaden Daniels, and I heard this said the other day on why they would take Jaden Daniels because he was too young to know any different. I think that's true when you watch him play. He plays the game with so much joy. But they were handed a gift. Baker Mayfield absolutely handed the game over to the Commanders.
You said that. I don't look, Jaden Daniels, say what you want. Like, he's a good player.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
He didn't win the game. Like he didn't do like this
Well,
unbelievable.
no, he drove them
performance
down the
when they-
field when it was tie game, which he's done all year. But I'll agree with you. Look, they talked about it.
But
Whether
they
you
make
talk
it
about the
sound
Hail
like
Mary
he
or the doink field
single-handedly
goal,
dominated this game, and he did not.
well, when you talk
Baker
about that,
Mayfield gave him this game, and they got lucky.
you
And if
sound
they
like
don't
a guy who
score-
lives in Tampa who's disgruntled. By the way, look.
I mean, they fumbled the ball on their 10-yard line.
Can I walk back my pick, by the way? Because it's not going to – I got the Lions winning the Super Bowl, so it just sounds stupid that I'm doing this whole Washington thing.
Yeah, I mean, Dan can't. I just think that they're look, and I'm not. If I was starting a team, I would take Jaden Daniels over Jared Goff. I still don't think that he's a great quarterback.
Here's
I think
the craziest thing about the Lions that I can't believe. So when I thought the whole two-headed monster with Montgomery and Gibbs was their greatest strength, but when Montgomery went out, the greatest thing was him getting out of the way.
Yeah, it's just Gibbs. He's amazing.
He's fast, man.
And their defense, everybody thought when Hutchinson went down, the defense was going to crumble. They have not. And yes, if you could get him back, yes, you take him back. He's an unbelievable future Hall of Fame player. But they have been just as good. And it's all because of Dan Campbell. Again, we've talked about this with Marcus, all the culture. He has not single-handedly, his leadership has contributed greatly to the culture turnaround in Detroit.
Well, it's the one thing that I think you have to do in a place like Detroit is you have to rewrite a narrative of just negativity around the program. And it's not really like, it's not like harsh negativity. It's just like comical negativity. Oh, like we're the Lions, like we're not good. It's like Cleveland, like we're the Browns, we're not good. Ha ha. But once you do that and prove that you can start winning,
oh yeah,
man, those dudes will they'll do whatever that guy asks of them.
Oh yeah,
it shows.
For me, I want the Lions just that culture, but just they've never won before. That's why ideally I would like them and the Bills. That way, a team that's the Bills may have been to a lot of Super Bowls, but losing them all I think is just as bad as not going to them. So I don't know. One of them fan bases needs to not be tortured anymore.
I remember them days. Those are good days.
Sure yeah. For you, they were.
Oh man, but either way, could you imagine a street parade in Detroit or Buffalo? Wow.
I want to see it in Detroit so we can see Eminem riding the bus with the team.
Oh, he would. He'd be on there. You better lose yourself, Mom Spaghetti. Oh man. Do they have enough to win? Do the Lions have enough to win a Super Bowl?
Yeah, I think they do.
I think so too. I think not playing an extra game helps. I think
that's true.
I think when you throw 4 picks in one half and have completely dug a hole and then come back and win because your offense is that good, you showed that you can beat anybody because that's what they did.
And they don't care who gets the credit. They really don't.
I mean, I think Jared Goff deserves a lot more credit than what he's gotten over the past couple seasons for just being someone who basically nobody wanted, and he was irrelevant.
I think he's got Randy's mentality. At the end of the day, people would talk about him. Dude's got so much money. I don't think he gives a shit.
He don't give a shit. And look, but if you think about this, though, have you ever seen a trade in the NFL history that worked out so well for both sides? Because the Rams got a Super Bowl out of it, and then Jared Goff has a chance to get a Super Bowl. And to be honest, how poetic would it be if the Lions played the Rams in the Super Bowl? I mean, that would be poetic.
I kind of like that narrative.
I kind of like.
I don't think it's better than Buffalo narrative, but
then if you give Jared Goff the opportunity to beat the team that threw him away like a piece of wet trash, that's a story.
But I'm just trying to figure out how the Lions play the Rams in the Super Bowl when they're both in the NFC.
I mean, I'm in the NFC Championship game. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying?
I was like, wait a minute, what?
Yeah, no. And to get to the Super Bowl, sorry.
Yeah, it's
Buffalo can be over there waiting. The problem with Buffalo is they're going to lose this weekend, boys.
I agree.
I mean, they really could. That game is going to be. I hope it's everything I'm thinking it'll be.
You're going to see Josh Allen sitting at home watching Lamar and Patty Mahomes go at it.
I mean, at the end of the day, look, Randy can pick Baltimore, but if Josh Allen has a Superman day, he's not going to be surprised even this.
No, I wouldn't be. But let me ask y'all this. I was thinking about this the other day as I'm watching Josh Allen play. Is Josh Allen like a white Cam Newton? Like in his prime.
Yes.
Like he's built like him. Like he runs kind of
He's
like
not
he
a-
doesn't.
hits even though he shouldn't.
Yeah, like stop trying to run over linebackers, bro.
As long as he doesn't dress like him after he's done, we're good.
Now, like I know your ass ain't talking about your boy. Be Russell.
Yeah.
He's done some things.
Russell's also the second richest player in NBA history. He can do what he wants.
Cam Newton's got great takes too.
Great. Look, Randy, you're all about money. And let me tell you something. You obviously have, I said NBA history. I don't know why I said that. Active NBA because Jordan. Active NBA. LeBron's worth the bill just basically now. But Westbrook's at $525 million. So people say he's overrated. He dresses weird, whatever. That man's got so much money.
He does. No. Shout out to him. But I mean, you just said it. Like it wasn't LeBron the first active billionaire athlete like that. That's crazy.
But he's done everything that you said, right? It wasn't just about being an athlete. It was an entrepreneur investing in all these different things. Sure. And so when he gets done, I think Kobe really kind of, obviously Jordan had the shoes, but I think that kind of mindset really started with Kobe.
Oh, I agree. No, he had all kinds of, man, R.I.P. Kobe. We miss you, King.
When you have that much money, it's boring to be normal. So that's why you got to come up with silly ways to.
You got to spice it up.
Foolish. Yeah.
I don't.
Sure.
You know what? I'm gonna start wearing some floral, like pilgrim hats. People talk about it.
Get it. All right. What's next, Jim? Gymnastics.
Yeah, Randy has to stay here for it.
No,
Jim.
Yeah, boy. I don't want to disrespect gymnastics because I'm not as well versed as you boys.
Because Tennessee doesn't have a gymnastics team. What are y'all doing? Tony wants one.
We don't. We're not. Danny White. We're not a real athletic department until we get gymnastics.
Tell them.
Well, we'll just do for you like we do every other guest. This is your chance. What did we miss? What did you not get to talk about that you want to leave us with?
Ooh, man. That is a great question. I don't think we missed anything. The only thing that I would say is back to this, you're the champ until you're not the champ. Jim, you used that strategy the year after LSU won the championship. When you knew they weren't going to be as good, you still put them number one. And you said, you're the champ until you're not. So the number one team in my heart is Tennessee.
Well,
I genuinely think Tennessee is 100%. I mean, look, when you talk about the last 5 years, look, they're in Omaha every single year. The one year they don't, it was an anomaly. Jack Brannigan had to have the series of his life. Like, Tennessee is the standard for Omaha right now. Like, there's no way you can bet against them till otherwise.
Yeah, no, I agree. And we briefly touched on this. It's the last thing I'm going to say. If Brian Kelly does not make the CFP next year and the 12 team expanded, is he fired?
No, I think he'd still get one more year because of how much money he's owed. You like to do numbers. That
no, he is
insane.
But here's what I think though, Jim. I think that he thinks his seat's getting hot, and that's why he did this NIL donation, which by the way is nothing more than restructuring his contract. He doesn't actually see that money. Still $1 million. I get it. But that's when you know coaches are feeling the heat because they're like, you know what? Let me give back.
Did you ever think, because we talked about it on here, when he lost Bryce Underwood, did you ever think there would be an open forum for, guys to actively just say, hey, I'm going to give a guy X amount of million and my other friends can give him X amount of million. And it was supposed to be NIL function through businesses, all that. These millionaires are literally just saying, we're going to give you money.
It was the weirdest thing. I said the last thing. This is the last thing I'm going to say. Rick Barnes the other day in the Texas game took out Chaz Lanier in the game. Afterwards in the press conference, they said, Coach, why'd you take Chaz out of the game? He said, if Chaz isn't going to do what he's paid to do, and he stopped, and he is paid to do it, he can watch from the bench just like me. That is a crazy thing to hear in a press conference from a college basketball coach.
Do you think the school is okay with him saying that? They may not say anything to him about that.
Yeah,
but do you think they're like biting their tongue, just being like, come on, Rick?
Probably, but I mean, he's not lying.
Right. No, he's right.
I know you're all for these kids making their money, but do you feel like this is getting a little out of hand, Randy?
Oh, it's way out of hand, bro. So, yes, I am for the name, image, and likeness, and that's not what we're seeing. Let me tell you what the number one thing is. The number one thing, and it's just bigger than NIL in my opinion, the transfer portal is absolutely insane. there are over 7,000 kids in the transfer portal, and less than 3% find new homes. We got to do something different about the portal. And the fact that we have playoff teams that are still haven't played their first round, and they got guys entering the portal that are starters. What are we doing, NCAA? We got to be better than this. This is not college football. This is not college basketball, baseball, none of this stuff. We got to do something to regulate this stuff.
I mean, we might as well bet. We might as well let them bet on the game if they come do that.
Yeah, live during, like the Alabama coach did. Let's just go for it.
You know,
right and wrong went out the window in college athletics.
I love that because we were talking about college, but the whole idea that people are saying the fix was on with Saquon Barkley taking a slide. Shut up.
Come on. I mean, I wouldn't have done it, Saquon, but shout out to you for doing it. Did you see A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith? Yeah. They were like, they called him over, like, what are you doing? He's like, he said no moss. Like,
A.J. Brown is one of my favorite dudes now. Seeing him read books on the sideline, getting educated. Shout out.
You know what the problem with that is, though? When they asked him after the game in the press conference, can you give us a quote out of the book? And he was like, what? He said, I know some quotes.
He said, I read
leave it to Ole Miss was posting. That's why they were one of the greatest academic institutions. I was like, oh god,
goodness! Like the dude, you said you read this book every game for how many every years, and you can't think of a sentence out of the book.
He's no Jonathan Moxon who was on the sideline reading Kurt Vonnegut.
No, yeah, that's true. That's true. Well, boys, I'm gonna tell you
one line.
It was great to be back. It felt good. IOTB, shout out, DB, Jim. Appreciate y'all having me.
You the man. We'll holla at you.
Peace.
That's the OG, everybody. While we're on it, man, before we transition, Memphis City Designs. Get your brands, gear, logos, everything from shoes to underoos. Jim, they got fresh hoodies. Am I wrong? I'm not wrong.
They do, but you know what? I'm still in your thunder right now. Dr. Victor Robinson, go see.
What's going on, everyone? My name is Dr. Victor Robinson. I am located right here inside of the Gatorade Field House. It's located off of 1582 Green Tea Road in Hernando, Mississippi. What I want you to do is get on my website, reliefcairohernando.com, click that link in my bio on my social medias, and come in and let me take care of you.
We need one of them relief hoodies.
I'm telling you, man. I mean, Dr. Vic, he's got the magic hands.
He has an off the bench LSU hoodie, size medium.
Hey, I'm telling you, he's adding years to folks' lives. Recovery, rejuvenation, you name it. He's got you covered.
We're transitioning into gymnastics, and Vic was not able to do our normal Monday session because he's coming back from Georgia because his level 7 gymnast was competing. So he knows all about the gymnastics world.
I mean, that's level 7. That's big time right there. We just started level 1. Level 1 right somewhere. That's right. All right. A lot that we could start with. So let's start with it's kind of bittersweet to talk about. It was a good meet. The Sprouts quad.
You want to go Friday since Bama went first? You want to go there?
Yeah. Yeah. We opened up.
I would have told you we said that Bama could be. It's just one meet, but we said that they could be a team that was a dark horse. But if I would have told you they would have been the 3rd highest score for an opening week team, would you have believed that?
No, I would have said you would have saw that the next night with those teams. You probably would have saw the top 3 scores there. But, you're right. And what's funny is you look at the level of gymnasts and the gymnasts that have come out of Alabama, and like for them to be a dark horse, it's kind of a weird thing to say because they're actually a powerhouse.
I think we're saying it just because they lost arguably their best 2. So it's really hard to replace a Luisa Blanca or Nella Burgess. But I mean, Lily Hudson and Gabby Gladio are as good as duos you'll find in all of gymnastics.
Let me tell you what. True freshman, Peyton Walker, bro. She's legit. Absolutely legit. Going out there, hammering bars, doing what she does. You got Gabby on the back end. You've got her just unbelievable. We watched it. I mean, when like just the fire that Gabby brings is way different than
her energy is unmatched, I think, of all of our guests out there.
So, I mean, when we look at it, Alabama wins. It's a good win. They beat a North Carolina team, which they, on paper you probably should beat them, but having the score that they did kind of blew me away. I wasn't necessarily shocked, but I was surprised.
Well, I mean, I think when you see teams get 197 out the gate, because if you look just around all the top 10, outside of those top three, all the rest of the teams, wasn't even close to 197. Had a lot of, things that you could tell it was the first meet, right? And so that, I think that's what's shocking, right? To come out, you expect it from Oklahoma, you expect it from LSU, but for Bama to come out and be that clean, man, that crowd, which was I think they reported 9,000. They got a show.
So the question is will we get an Alabama, Oklahoma?
I mean, that's going to be a meet right now. We said it coming into the season. You watch the first quad, you watch the second quad. Obviously, I got to see the first one in person. This goes back to last year, Daniel, when we said the only team that could beat them was themselves, and that obviously happened for Worth. It's the same thing because it's the same lineup with a couple superstar freshmen added on. Like, it's the most talented. Obviously, I've only been doing this for like 5 years now, but it's the most talented roster you can find. I mean, think about this when we were picking for our Survivor, right? Like, I had no clue where you were going to go once I take Jordan Bowers. I know you're taking Finnegan. That's not the question. But it's like with Audrey or Faith, right? Like, you can't even make a wrong choice.
No, not at all. And for me, I wanted to be, I think I told you this when it came to that. I wanted to have diversity amongst. I just didn't want it to be all loaded on one team. I wanted it to be spread out. But I went that route because I feel like if you spread it out, you're going to get a better shot of having individuals fare like really good from week to week. But anyhow, we talk about Bama. Obviously, we got to get to Sprouts Quad. You were supposed to be there. It was supposed to happen on a Friday. They push it back to Saturday. It was mid to late afternoon, evening-ish it rolled into. But when you look at Oklahoma, LSU, Cal, and Utah, like, we're talking about some of the top teams in the country. And when you get them all together, what is the expectations, with that? Are you thinking, all right, we're probably going to see an Oklahoma win, but is it going to be smooth? It's the first one out of the gate. Like, what are we going to get? But I think all expectations were met with this quad.
I think it gives every one of those teams, because, Allie talked about it on the call, like, it gave you a Fort Worth National Championship feel. So it gives you that experience right out the gate. We talk about no matter what the sport is, right? We talk about, like, for instance, we're talking about Memphis with the non-con, big teams. Like, this is for all those teams. This only makes you better for the rest of the season, not just competing against those teams, but being on that stage. And Alabama, I'm all over the place. Oklahoma showed they weren't pulling no punches, Daniel. Our guest, Marelle Mueller, was supposed to be in two different lineups. She got pulled right before both of them. They went 5 different girls, went all around. And, like, Audrey Davis was not supposed to do the vault. And basically, when her spot came up, they put in Audrey. I think once they realized, like, after the first few girls went for every team, okay, we're going to have to – if we're going to win this, we're going to have to go.
It's going to be a fight. Yeah, it's going to be a fight. And I think lesson learned probably on their end, they're not going to just show up, and they're going to have – everyone's going to give them their best. So they're going to have to put whatever that best is every meet, every time they go out there. I was shocked, and maybe it's not – I shouldn't be shocked, but – when you look at last year in Oklahoma and just the dominance from meet to meet in the scoring, like, you expected to kind of see that, or at least I did, but it wasn't that. I mean, we're talking about tenths and hundredths of a point difference between all 4 of those teams.
Well, I think what stood out to me the most, because Utah kind of slid back, which is, I actually predicted that. I think what me and you had talked about with the Cowgirls when they came on here, finishing third, finishing second, this being their chance. Like, they showed with the defending champs in LSU, with that Oklahoma Stack team, that they could compete because they were right there with them all the way. Obviously, in the end, they lost by half a point, but I mean, like, they looked really good.
Yeah, for sure. Sleeping giant, bro.
When Allie said that, I was like, that was perfect.
Yeah.
I'm looking at their upcoming schedule because you brought up Oklahoma. Let me see. They do go to Tuscaloosa on the 24th.
Oh, you should go to that.
I can't. I'll be in your neck of the woods.
Oh, okay. Well, then don't go to that. What are your big takeaways? Give me. I mean, maybe
I was gonna bring the other quad into it real quick in takeaways. And UCLA, I think, major bounce back because the first week they just did not look that great. We saw what they could do, and then I think not trying to throw shade because it's Arkansas, right? They just did not look good, man, at all. And so I don't know what that was, if that was just a fluke. And then Kentucky got strong towards the end. But if I could say anything, Raina Worley was world-class last year. I think it was very evident that she wasn't competing all around because, I mean, that girl was putting up 9.95 at minimum on a regular across the board.
Yeah. And I mean, it's early. I don't know if this is a good indication of what the future holds. I would like to say like it's a good indicator of who's good, but as far as who's going to withstand the gauntlet of making it to championships, I think a lot of that is still to be determined.
No different than our top 25 being very similar in baseball to D1. College gymnastic, inside gym came out with their Power 8 just like I had. And we only had one team that was different. I had Denver in ours, and they had, was it Missouri maybe?
I think it was Missouri.
But yeah, so 7 out of the same 8. And obviously maybe I just a little biased because I've watched both Denver meets, but I really like what they got going.
But here's the thing with Denver. Denver has been that sneaky team that doesn't get a lot of play or talk, but they're good.
Mm-hmm. I think when I was
I don't know what makes them that good because all the top gymnasts that we know about, we don't rarely hear anything from Denver, but you got to believe that they're elite level gymnasts there because they're good.
I think so outside of that top tier, which to me really is the 4 teams that probably competed in that quad together, including Utah, even though they have the best show. I feel like that's like a tier by itself, but I feel like that second tier literally probably goes 5 through 13, 14. Would you not agree? Like all those teams can compete and be in that next set that goes to Fort Worth.
Yeah, definitely. I think that is more like wide open as far as who could make it in than that top tier.
Yeah, they can maybe sneak and make that Final Four. I'm not saying they would win, but
right.
I think there's a lot of teams that are more than worthy enough that if they have their best day can be on that stage.
So when you look at our Power 8, Oklahoma 1, LSU 2, Cal 3, Alabama 4, Michigan State 5, Utah 6, Denver 7, UCLA 8. If you were to say of those 8, who are still there at the end of the season, who would you predict? All of them? Half of them? One of them? 2 of them?
I mean, like I said, I may be wrong on Denver. I could see UCLA sliding back potentially, but I feel like those top 6. I haven't got to see Michigan State in the meet itself. Just watch the highlights, see the scores. You've even talked to me about them. That team's just really, really good. So I would say those top 6 probably undoubtedly. Alabama, we'll see, right? Like we predicted it. They obviously had a great first meet, but we will need to see it over the course of the season. But I think when you look at these schedules, because we were just talking about it, these quads getting a lot of these teams together, but in the SEC and in the Big Ten, they're all going to face each other. You're going to get to see best on best on an every week basis.
Yeah, it's gonna be legit. Can't wait
I
for
mean,
that.
I like we don't got. It's not like college baseball where we got to wait, 5 weeks in the season to get conference play. Like as soon as these things get over, like they're right into it this week. Like let's go.
Jumping into it. Offhand, do you know what are we looking at as far as matchups for week 2?
I know that Oklahoma is Florida, which is a really, really good one. Michigan State is Michigan, so that's a really good one. I really feel like it's Alabama Auburn, if I'm not mistaken, right out the gate.
Dang. Get it.
But yeah, those first two I knew off the top of my head. Those are legit. A couple teams are still doing. They do have some quads that'll still be going on. What's funny is some of these that have like a 4th team on the quad that like has no business being there, but it gives them an opportunity to compete with these other schools.
Hey, got to start somewhere, man. That's how you sneak in. I mean, you think about
Alabama's got Kentucky. My bad.
Man, still be a good one. You still gotta take care of business. But with that, dude, I'm excited, man. Gymnastics, you're right. Like the beauty of this sport is like you get these quads, which you get for really amazing teams a lot of times, but then it's like, oh, flip the switch. It's time for conference. Let's go. Like,
and it
with
does
baseball, we got
a lot of sports, right? Like you're going to get 10 outstanding meets, and then you're right there already in the postseason.
Boom. Let's go. All right, man. With that, what do we miss? Round the horn. What you got? Anything?
Man, I don't know. We covered all sports. I'm scrolling. I'm thinking, man, no, I got nothing. We did good. We had Randy back. We dove through all the collegiate sports, got the pro sports done, and it's only 9:57. My wife has summoned me, but still not bad.
Not bad. Well, with that, let's put a bow on this thing. Let's get out of here. I want to thank Randy for coming back and joining us. It's nice to have him back. Just another average Joe talking X's and O's. And if you like that, then continue to support us. Hit us up on Facebook, retweet us on X, listen and subscribe wherever you stream your podcast. Go over to YouTube, hit like, hit notifications, hit subscribe, be the first to know when we upload content because it's always being uploaded. Jim, who we got tomorrow night? It's a big one.
Yeah, we got
They're all big.
Speaking of Oklahoma Giants, and then on Wednesday, we'll see. We'll put this out there. We're live right now. We got Ethan Conrad from Wake, maybe because the producer got in trouble because I did not ask permission for Ethan, even though we've had like 10 Wake baseball players. We've had like 10 Wake baseball players, and I've never asked permission. I mean, these guys with these social media jobs, they want to feel very powerful, so they're gonna crack the whip on me. So we'll see what happens.
Don't hate on him. Man's just doing his job.
But the next week, let's just go ahead and we'll just put that out there then. Man, Blaze Priester from LSU, Lily Tubbs from Washington Gymnastics, Clayton Freshcorn from Texas A&M. So 2 of the top 3 baseball teams in the country going over to the West Coast of Washington Gymnastics, all over the place.
Man, we're hitting it all. It's hot and heavy to start the 2025 year. And then before you know it, man, we're going to be right into college baseball. We're going to be in the thick of college gymnastics, dude.
I'll tell you why I'm excited to go on these trips. My son, we got him that Switch for Christmas. He don't do nothing else now. I got to get that boy out the house, and these trips are a good way to do it. Leave that thing at home.
Yep, there you go. Don't even let him take it portable with you, man, because could be curtains. You'd be wanting to take it to the ballpark. To the
fall, I caved into electronics. Should have never done it.
Hey, it's hard, man. I feel you. But hey, till tomorrow night. This has been the In Off the Bench podcast. As always, remember, strong body, sharp minds, grit and grind all the time.